All right, that's a start. Thank you so much for coming, Sam. I knew that when I started this IDEN podcasting thing that you were definitely one of the people I wanted to have on, because this is a flattering thought, but you're one of the most interesting people I know. Not essentially at surface value, but the things you do on your spare time and sort of your life story moving down to Alabama and pursuing this music interest of yours. How you define that, I'll leave up to you. But I just think it's all super interesting, and of all the people I've ever met in this town, you're definitely one of the most interesting people, and you're my fucking brother, dude. I love you. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me, Corey.
So explain, well, you know what, first let me dive into the work we've done together. We've shot a music video together. We used to goof around when we were really little with Fruity Loops and audio recording and instruments.
Right.
And you still mess with those things. What are you doing? You know, there's just so much to tackle. Before we even ask that, explain Abisai.
Abisai.
Yeah, what is Abisai? That's your, what, your handle, your stage name?
I guess you could say that's my stage name. I guess I wanted something pretty unique. And I couldn't find typically, as far as coming up with a band name, I guess it was just really organic, Abisai, my middle name. So, I kind of just went for it. It's really straight up, simple name, catchy. And yeah, man, I guess that was the start of something special.
What do you mean middle name?
Middle name, Samuel Abisai Domani.
That is literally your middle name?
Yes, sir.
I
Abisai.
had not known it. This is also something I want to touch on. Sam, I've known you for God knows how many years.
Good 7, probably.
There is so fucking much I still don't know about you. You're sort of a
mysterious,
a private person in a way that
pretty private. Yes.
Not outwardly. Outwardly, you're very, out there is not the right word I'm looking for, but not introvert, extrovert. You're very extroverted. You're sort of boisterous, bright. But for somehow these private little details slip by a lot of the people who know you. And on that topic, I got to dive into what you're doing in Alabama. What have you been up to in Alabama? Because I know you've released a few songs. What, an album? You released an album, then an EP. What? Explain everything you've done down there.
All right.
Recently.
Well, I actually, prior to moving to Alabama, the work we did at Farewell obviously was. I knew that was something special. It was going to be the start of, Cakewalk, and it was, influenced. Through, I guess you could say, a ragtime, I guess you could say a modern ragtime 70s rock. I would just classify it under that category. But I knew making Farewell, I wanted to continue, continue this project. And, through that song, I came up with a couple other demos and finished them up down there. But yeah, man, it's been a ride, and for sure, currently working on something similar, a project along those lines. I actually wanted to make an EP, a Farewell EP, mastering the song, because I had used a different software for it. So it wasn't really, I didn't put Farewell on Cakewalk, and that I kind of beat myself for that, I wanted to put that song because that's what started this whole, this project. So pretty interesting, man. I'm going to remaster the song and put it out there, but I'm not exactly sure when, because right now I'm working on a bunch of other little demos, and I don't really have an idea. I don't have a direction, it's kind of just, I'm just putting shit out there right now.
You are putting shit out there. I mean, you're on what? Spotify? Are you on iTunes?
iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music,
Apple
YouTube.
Music, and you've recently performed live. Have you done any more live stuff? I have to ask because I don't fucking know, Sam.
Hey,
this stuff slips by us all. Have you done multiple live performances?
I've only done one live performance, and it was actually a buddy from work who listened to my music, and he's a comedian. He wanted me to do the intermission for it. So I did that for the guy, but ever since that, man, I've just been working solo and kind of putting some live performances just in my home studio. I haven't done anything performing with an audience. It's just been kind of like personal and see what I'm capable of, I guess.
Right. It's that new age sort of
right. It's the
modern,
exactly social
done
media.
at home, computer, music, software, artistry, and the type of artistry where I my very first episode I had Dylan Bronny on. He's a local DJ. He mixes music, and we got into this big, deep discussion about how these days you don't need a band to make music, and to get a band together is sort of a dying art, to be honest. Most people, I mean, at least in the mixing DJ scene, are just solo acts, right?
Right. I mean, it's good.
When it comes to indie music, it's just becoming easier and easier to put those other instruments into tracks and do it all yourself, stitch it all together, make a product. It saves, time, and then, if you're one person, you can just master all these instruments, do it all alone. And obviously that has drawbacks when it comes to playing live.
Right.
But it doesn't have as many drawbacks when it comes to distributing that music through the new distribution methods of streaming, because you can put out more and more content. And fuck, man, who if you're one guy, who knows how much music you could produce in 1 year and how far that could get you. Where if you're a band, you have to balance all of these people's lives to produce music. And then because you're a band and it's fucking maybe 3 to 6 people, you have to support 3 to 6 people and not just yourself. It's not something you're just doing in your spare time. There's much more of a force of income, and you need to be making that money. You need to be a lot of time performing live, so you can support all those people. And as yourself, this just isn't something you have to deal with.
I guess it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe later on. I do want to make a band, Abisai band, as far as performing like live gigs. Right now, I don't have the money or I don't have the connections either as well, and I think that's what I'm lacking. So, but I do agree with you, man. I think that big influence, Kevin Parker from Tame Impala. I know that he does his stuff solo. He produces his own music and mixes it and everything. And then he when he goes out and tours, he takes out his band, which actually that band has his own band as well, Pond. I think that's pretty cool, man. I think that working together with other bands can really put your music out there. It's all about networking nowadays.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you just look at something like YouTube or Vine when it was Vine.
Right, when it was.
Or Instagram. I mean, Instagram people pairing up to do shoots or working with. So sometimes they call them takeovers, where they'll have sort of a sponsored artist of some sort take over their platform. They go take over, and they post content related to them and the company, and it's sort of a temporarily wearing. How people wear like fucking rock star t-shirts or monster t-shirts, whatever. So they've got the big old company sponsor. It's kind of like digitally wearing your company's t-shirt for 8 hours and then taking it off.
Exactly, and it's good to help support your artist, and I think, or one of my buddies, he would tell me, support your local artists, because it really does matter. When you support each other, I think it's a good strategy, as far as gaining, kind of, I guess you could say the same audience, depending on what they listen to, because depending on your music, I mean, not everybody's going to like it, and you have to target your audience, or else you're not really going to get anywhere, man. Goofy.
Yeah, that's very true. It's important to build your local genre and your scene, because, I mean, if the music you're producing seems irrelevant, to the masses, a lot of times it's going to be taken as irrelevant, especially if you're, say, supporting your local scene, which is probably live shows. And it's just easier if there's a healthy scene of whatever your genre is in your area to obviously capitalize
exactly
off that.
Exactly. And I feel like maybe right now for me, maybe not the best. that's why I'm using social media to market my music, because I don't have, I guess you could say, I don't have the, I wish I had the time, but like living alone and having to pay all these bills and stuff is not giving me, I guess, enough exposure right now. So,
do you think you'd get, if you had not moved to Alabama, because how long ago did you do that?
I moved a year ago.
So you moved a year ago. Do you think if you had not moved a year ago and you had stayed in this town and produced your music, that you would have gotten anywhere as near, as far in your music that you have gone, or do you think you might have gone farther?
Well, definitely would have put out different content for sure, because I got inspired by this.
Yeah, the influences, life,
right?
Things,
exactly,
the irreplaceable experiences.
Exactly. So I guess I would have put out different content, and maybe things would have been different. I think it definitely would have been easier just living here. I've got Chicago 40 minutes away, and I feel like maybe it would have been easier to book some gigs. The college town I live in now has a very specific taste in music, like the bars and the live performance areas, that they have a very specific audience as well. It's like they listen to country music and rock and stuff. So maybe my music wouldn't be best for that specific audience. So I was thinking of maybe performing somewhere in Birmingham or somewhere in Atlanta, which is, a couple hours out. But once I make a couple albums, Corey, I feel like maybe that might be the best thing for me.
Right. Have you thought about doing a photo shoot or other ways of just marketing yourself through social media? Have you thought about like vlogging or
I have.
Or sort of, I don't know, music is a bit disconnected because, well, I mean, you can say what you want through your music, right? And through music videos, you can express yourself. But the natural one-to-one Abisai, Sam Domani, sort of like what we're doing here, you can't just come across that through music almost. So
right.
Have you thought about creating that personalness through other mediums?
Yes, it is definitely. I guess it's. I do have the equipment to do that.
Like in the equation of social media, you need followers. You need followers, right?
That's step one.
Not followers in the sense of Twitter or YouTube subscribers. Followers in the sense of people who follow your content, no matter where it's showing up, and who support you. And any way they can is a strange way to put it, but
right.
through ways that you make accessible to them, whether it's buying clothes or your music or special editions of things, vinyls,
right, and
donations,
right.
Patreons, whatever. And
I think that I'm starting school next semester. I'm taking marketing, so I feel like that might help me. Not saying that school is going to teach me everything about the loopholes and stuff to getting around.
But there's nothing like experience, especially in business.
Exactly. So look, I'm going to school, and I feel like maybe I'll gain some insight as far as putting my content out there. And right now, I have all these platforms that I'm using right now. I think that my breakthrough would be Spotify. I just think that nowadays, it's really it's not easy, but if you have your music, certain playlists, or if you have your music shared, or it's got to hit the right person, at the right time, man, for it to go viral. So I've been doing some marketing lately, and I'm not trying to promote my music or pay Facebook for ads and stuff. I feel like that's at another time when I do have a bigger audience and I have more money. But right now I'm using YouTube and Spotify and kind of just learning where there's analytics on YouTube and Spotify, and it's telling me where my music is being listened to. So I think that's really interesting. I feel like just knowing where your audience, where they live and what they listen to and stuff like that, that might really help me with the next couple albums I do.
And when it comes to analytics and social media, where exactly is your music being listened to?
Well,
Let me ask it.
believe it or not, man, I've got some people in London. I've got people in Mexico City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think they come across your stuff? I mean,
I've done some.
is it like I'm not an avid Spotify user, but is your music in playlists and things like that?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they
it's
just come
been
across
shared
them,
through playlists, very related artists as well. Some people that listen to certain bands. I've kind of put out content where it relates to those, to those. I've done some marketing. I would say.
What bands does your music sound like? Did you have a pretty interesting style? It's not either wholeheartedly original, and it's also not wholeheartedly a copycat.
Right.
It is this ragtime thing, but a trend I see a lot in your music is the waltz. I see a lot of waltzing.
Yes.
The waltz is everywhere.
Yes.
What is it about? Let me just ask you about that. What is it about the waltz that intrigues you so much?
It's the. I would say it's really the chord progression that I like and that I got, I guess, influenced through. When I was younger, I would listen to a lot of Spanish music. My mom would listen to like certain Spanish music, which nowadays would not really be socially acceptable. But it was very upbeat, very waltzy in a way, and I guess I got influenced through that, and they would do like kit camps and stuff, and I don't know, man.
What is a kit camp?
All right, so growing up, I used to be involved in like church kit camps and stuff, and the type of music they would play was very specific, and it was Spanish influenced, like 80s, 70s Spanish influenced music, and I feel like, just growing up, they say that your prime years, like where you actually learn and get influenced through
Very early cognitive development.
Exactly. So like ages 4 through 10 or something is like that. That's your prime, and that's when I got
my dad
myself
played
involved.
like so much Bon Jovi during those years of my life.
Right.
Fuck.
So that kind of gets engraved. And
I mean, I'm doomed.
yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Goddamn.
I don't know, man. So that's kind of where Cakewalk came from. It was just this idea of like the piano. The piano is really very influenced with this album. And
Got one right here.
Yeah,
sort
man.
of keyboard, not the same.
MIDI
but
keyboard. You could do anything, man. You don't need a grand piano for it.
I'm loving it. It is so fun to play with.
Yes.
So fun to play with.
A lot of, it's one of the most. I mean, it's very addicting for one.
I have found that the keyboard is almost hard to sound bad on.
Yes.
Like, it's almost hard. Compared to other instruments, like, it's really easy to sound fucking bad on other instruments.
Right.
That thing, I mean, it's almost hard to sound bad. I mean, wow. It's hard to explain.
I mean, you can do anything with MIDI, man, believe it or not. People say, like, oh, yeah, it sounds super. I mean, it doesn't sound realistic at all or whatsoever. But if you play with the velocity, and if you have weighted keys or like a velocity MIDI keyboard, you can do a lot with it, man. And I've been working with that lately with my recent singles. So that's something I do. But I don't know, man. These next couple of songs that I've been working on, I've been kind of distancing myself from this whole like ragtime influence. I've been
Changing your sound? Fans are going to be mad, man.
Not changing the sound. I'm just I'm experimenting with other.
Evolving. Well, most bands sound different from the first album.
Right.
Go figure.
Right. So I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah.
Just having fun.
That sounds, yeah. I can definitely tell you're having fun. Who is that guy in your video that you're having fun with? You guys are making music together. Who's that guy?
Yes, my buddy Nori.
Never heard of him.
Yes. So.
Never heard of him.
I haven't seen you in a while, Corey.
Yeah, right? That's what I'm saying. Oh, I'm so glad we're doing this. We need to catch up.
We're catching up, yeah. But yeah, Nori's one of my friends. He's a grad student. He's graduated Auburn already, but he's taken music theory. This guy's I've been influenced through this guy a lot as well. But we've been working on some things, just kind of like a Nori and Sam project. And and he's
Nori
been
and Sam.
Nori and Sam.
Nori and Sam. That sounds nice as one big word.
Yeah,
Nori and Sam.
I mentioned it to him because we want to do this project together, and we do have some connections down in Auburn, and we kind of want to start something there. But we've been playing a lot with just kind of jamming out and making some music, bro. But I remember when we recorded Rubber Ball. It was very, very organic, bro. We got into the apartment and we put on the chords and just started playing, and he came up with this like riff on the piano, and it just sounded so like soothing, man. I was like, dude, I really like this, man. If I just maybe start kind of like strumming very low, like bassy strum in the background with the acoustic guitar, might sound really well, and we just harmonized with the vocals and recorded it, man. It took us 3 hours. So but yeah, man, we're doing some things. We currently have a couple of songs that just me and Nori been working on, and that's another side project that I'm working on, but right now we're kind of taking a little break on it. We get together maybe once a week to do a couple songs, but we haven't really finished any songs yet, so I don't know, to be honest, my friend.
Well, I hope you finish it. That sounds really intriguing. Is this your last Shadow Puppets effort on the side of Abisai? Nori, Miles Kane, Alex Turner?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, I love those guys, but yeah, I guess you could say something like that. I mean, we're not...
Is it sort of removed from your sound, adding someone in? What has that done to your ragtime waltzy? Well,
it's sound? Not. He definitely has his own taste in music, and in the past I've noticed that sometimes in a band you kind of have to have the same musical idea, as far as making music, or else it doesn't really work out.
Yeah, it would be very odd if fucking like Nirvana and then some pop band
exactly.
collabed.
So,
like, oh man, that makes me think of like Marilyn Manson. For some reason, Marilyn Manson has done so many like out of genre shit.
Yes.
I think he performed once with Eminem or something.
Yeah.
Why?
Or Lady Gaga.
Oh my goodness.
I remember. Yeah.
That shit's funny.
Yeah. And he actually did. I think he did an acoustic live cover, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe a year ago, I saw it. But yeah, I thought that was pretty goofy. But hey, man, like nowadays, like people collab with anybody.
No, it's cool that you guys have. It makes sense. You guys have similar.
Yeah,
ideas
it's a very similar. I mean, we both listen to Beach House, so I think, yeah.
I listen to a little bit of Beach House. I know Richard's really deep.
Yes,
into
I do.
Beach House.
I see that guy's stories all the time. Man. Go
to music plug. You should get your music to Richard. He will market that shit. He's good at that stuff, and it's just naturally so. Honestly.
Yeah, I like the guy. I like the guy's ways. I think he's got a lot of followers as far as listening.
Once he likes it,
yeah, man.
It'll get around.
Cool guy, but yeah, man.
So let me bring it back to bands that sound like yours when it comes to Spotify. 'Cause that's something that interests me. I don't use Spotify a whole lot, but I know there's things like related artists, and I know a lot of times songs and artists blow up if they just get on the right playlist. Someone puts them in some sort of playlist,
yes,
or in one of the big genre tiles, and then boom, yes, they strike it big. They're getting so many plays. What are some related artists to your music?
Well, see, look, I've done research as far as how Spotify works, and it's all really just a big algorithm, like they
shock me.
Yeah, so I know, look, man, right now I got around 325 monthly listeners, which obviously changes every month.
Really?
Yes. It's not a bad number, I think I'm starting off
for a kid from Huntley. That is wowing to me.
I guess.
Is.
I mean, thank you for that.
It is wowing to me, yeah.
But I think, yeah, like you said, getting it on the right playlist. For example, Discover Weekly is all run through algorithms, so that's going to be almost impossible for me to get into until
You'd have to go viral.
Yeah, I have to go viral. I have to have at least like 20,000 monthly listeners, and like it has to study, it has to study like the listeners and like so they know what related artist to put it under, if that makes sense.
If it didn't have those parameters, you'd probably have just crazy audio clips on there. Someone uploading an audio clip.
Exactly.
Of them.
It's got to be somehow regulated.
Fucking something wild. You know the internet. They I don't know. They'd be like, I can't even think of something as absurd to put on. They'd be like mashing mashed potatoes in a bowl or some shit, and that would be on the weekly, and be like, everyone would be like, how the fuck did this get on here? Well, look, it went viral, and everyone started following this mashed potato channels where it's just ASMR mashing fucking potatoes in a bowl. And then, bam, it's on weekly.
Right.
And if you didn't have those those parameters to actually say, hey, our listeners are actually engaging this music like they should be on our platform because that's what it's for. And, obviously you set up that scenario with the parameters, and then it gets on weekly. Because if it is something outlier like mashing potatoes, it probably shouldn't fit into those outliers of engagement that you need.
Right.
That makes sense.
Oh yeah, exactly, man. And that's what I like about Spotify is that, look, man, anybody can upload music using a music distributor, right? But not everybody's gonna get listened to, unfortunately. And if you don't have it, like you said, with those parameters, then Spotify wouldn't be a thing. Spotify is a thing because the good artists that put out the content they want have listeners because they put out good content, and unfortunately not everybody gets listened to, and that's what sucks. But once you go viral, or once you get on the right playlist, then maybe Spotify is going to start kind of understanding your music and getting a certain feel for you'll have your own related artist page, and that's the goal right now, man. I feel like getting my related artists, because once you have that, it'll definitely put out a lot of exposure to your music.
Do you feel like playing this social media algorithm, this internet game, let's say? I mean, music distribution has always been a game. That's no secret. Do you think it is in a better form? Because I know that this streaming stuff, when it comes to, has changed the face of television forever.
Yes.
Changed the face of making movies forever. Changed the face of making music forever. Do you think this is a better system than the system that was in place before, which is
No.
more? It actually shifts hands. People actually buy the whole album.
I think it was
think?
easier back then, in my opinion. I do know
I bet a lot of people back then would say it's easier now.
Yes.
But it's the market is very oversaturated.
Exactly.
The bar is very, very low.
Right. Not everybody. There's a lot of nowadays, man. There's a lot of ways people can make music, if that makes sense. You don't need a specific software. You don't need, anybody could really just make a beat on their iPhone and record it on their iPhone and go viral.
That wouldn't shock me at all.
Exactly. So I feel like it goes both ways. Back then, I guess it was harder to distribute your music, but it was also easier to maybe perform live, where people would actually go and engage themselves.
Yeah, that's another thing. These distribution methods are killing theaters.
Exactly.
They're killing venues. And then what was the I guess there isn't really a place where everyone gets together and watches television.
I mean, I guess you could bring up Netflix. I guess Netflix really just killed just TV in general. Just like
it's hurt a lot of businesses.
Cable, man.
A lot of in the ground, built on a foundation businesses. Now everything is sort of in the air, open sourcey. But
yeah, man.
So it sounds to me like you see this as, because obviously we've sort of grown up with this kind of distribution. It sounds to me like you see it as not separated from, let's say, the old ways. It sounds to me like you see them as working in tandem. You have a little bit of the new stuff, a little bit of the old stuff. You're doing live performances, even though you don't really have to. You're doing the distribution stuff, even though that's sort of new age, and you're sort of mining for gold in a sense. You're just hoping to strike it rich in a lot of ways. It sounds to me like you have a good balance. in there?
Yeah, man, I guess I mean, like I said, it's really, the music industry is just run differently nowadays, and it's definitely tough to put your music out there, and you know, get it to the right people. So I think that's my problem, is that the marketing is not working right now for me, and I'm just kind of waiting to hit the jackpot, man. But I am focusing. This is like my full-time job for me, you know, as far as anything else. I don't really focus on anything else but music. So
I feel that way. That's just silly to say it like that, but I know where you're coming from. As an artist, when it comes to photography and working behind the camera, it's almost like everything else in my life is the side work for me to do that thing. I mean, school, it's like sort of a means to the end. My job, sort of a means to the end. What I want to do is make art. What I want to do is create stuff. What I want to do is express myself. And I don't even get close to that kind of expression through my work, through school. I mean, I try, and I do express myself through my schoolwork a lot, and it shows, and myself at work, and it definitely shows. But it's the fulfillment I get from those expressions just aren't even on par with the expressions I get through making photographs, starting these speaking projects. I'm working on a video project right now. I went to this airplane restoration place, and where, you know, every week a team of guys out there in the farmlands get together and they work on this airplane in this warehouse. And I went there and I just walked around. I just observed them. A guy through school introduced me to this place and got me in. And I'm working on, I'm thinking it's going to be completely silent, and then I'm just going to narrate my experience over it. Almost like a monologue, documentarian kind of thing about some barn in the middle of nowhere no one knows about. I thought that'd be so interesting. And all of that together, just even the first note of the story is just so much interesting than most other things in my life. It just really is. I definitely know where you're coming from.
No, yeah, for sure. And yeah, man, seeing your work, and I've never seen anything like that. To be honest with you, like everything you post,
it's gonna be interesting.
I'm looking forward to it, Corey, and that's why
I haven't gotten started. I really don't know how it's gonna turn out until it's over, but you know, we will see. I have a tendency to just throw myself into a pool and try to swim, and usually, I don't know, I make some weird shit. So
man, for sure.
We shall see. We shall
awesome,
see on
dude.
that.
I love it. And yeah, dude, anything I can do for you, anything you can do for me, definitely collab sometime, because like I said, bro, support your local artists and work together.
I'd love to, but I don't know, man. When it comes to the music I've made and the music you've made, your music is, I think much more highly of your music. My music is sort of this experimental expression.
But there's no boundaries.
But there is no boundaries in my music. That's true. You're sort of like you're Abisai. You have a sort of mission, a goalpost. You're shooting for it. You're marketing yourself. You're trying to tap into a market, and you might even be getting paid for it. When it comes to my music, I don't expect any of that. It's just pure. Well, not when I say it's pure, it makes me sound like I'm saying that yours isn't pure. But you're right. It doesn't have any parameters. I've made tracks that are just blastings of music just because I fucking can. No one can tell me I can't do it.
Exactly.
And I have sort of the know-how to do it, so I do.
Right. And you're, like I said, it's different for every like, I'm not saying you're trying to target an audience or anything.
We're getting to artist intent here. We're getting to sort of themes of the art motif. And yeah, I would definitely agree. One of my artistic themes is just like the dissipation of limits. I don't like, personally, because it's expression of myself, that my art, I personally don't like rules. I personally don't like authority very much. I like being able to do whatever I want when I want to do it. Not like in a disrespectful sense to other people. I'm a very compassionate, respectful person. But when it comes to my art and trying to portray a message, I want to do something that I haven't really seen because no one can see through my eyes. So a lot of times it is something no one's really seen. What do you think for yourself is like those artistic themes? What about you is coming through this music?
See, look, man, my goal is definitely to influence I guess, a population, right? I'm not saying like the next generation or whatever. That would be nice.
That's very generous.
But I guess, I think that's what fuels my ego is just when somebody has something nice to say.
It would be very hard to make art without any sort of ego, without pouring a drop out of the ego bottle. Like if you were, what's the guy, the Powerpuff Girls, how he's making the fucking potions, it's got the big words on it. Like if you were that guy and you weren't trying to make your fucking Powerpuff Girls, you didn't have the fucking ego bottle and a drop come out of that bitch. Like
it matters.
It matters.
You can't, like I said, if you're, like, what you're doing is you're putting your content on Instagram and you have a following, right? And those people have good things to say about it, or they have bad things to say. But in both ways, critical, it's critical value. It truly matters. When you have people saying good things about your music, especially strangers, that is where it actually matters. People that you don't know, when they say good things about your music, that's when it actually hits you, man. Because typically on YouTube, people are very critical. They either dislike your video or they like your video, and that's what I've noticed in the past couple of months is that when people have good things to say, man, that really does make the artist feel a certain way, and that's what fuels you, man. Whenever I get critical. Whenever I get something critical from like a family member or a friend, like, yes, I do take it, but at the same time, it's like, are they trying to be nice? Are they, what are you trying to do here? Like, you're my friend.
It's interesting too, because when it comes to being an artist, which I would definitely consider you an artist with the amount of work you've done and your talent, sometimes to take the opinion of someone who doesn't create anything or make anything, that's a difficult situation, one I never really thought about until I found myself in it. I don't remember who I talked to about it before, but I've had a few artists on just IDEN, and I remember a time in my life where I wasn't making anything. I wouldn't make things in my spare time. I'd read, run, play video games, watch movies, and I definitely had opinions on art creation and blah, 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 but I never made anything myself. And when you start making music, when you start making art, it sort of gives you a different perspectives on things, and it definitely influences your perception of other people's opinion on yourself. At least it does for me. I guess it's, and dude, like, you even, like, you influence yourself, man. Like, every fucking day. I think that's key, man. It's like you make things, and from when you start, man, you influence yourself through the end. And I think that's very important as well. Is to, I guess just keep that in mind. Is that life is just an experience, and you're getting influenced on the daily. The things you see, the things you do, like the people you're with, and I guess it's healthy to keep, I guess, it's healthy to I don't know where I'm going here, but I guess you could say the people you surround yourself with, if they have the same idea, or like if you're doing a project with someone, if they have the same idea, then chances are you're going to make something great, That is a fantastic point. And it's the exact reason why I started IDEN. It's pretty damn close. It's short for identity, and I don't really like the word identity all too much. I think it's a really polarizing word these days. But I wanted to create a little circle, a little platform in our tiny-ass middle of nowhere town of all the interesting people I knew, and the people I knew who were creating something, the people I knew who had something out there in respect to this town to say about something, someone who was an authority on something that was key to their identity, and I wanted to get at that, and I love getting at it with you. I'm so glad you're on here. When it comes to influence and when it comes to the experience, I definitely agree. I mean, all my music is based off some sort of experience, how I was feeling that day, something I saw once, something someone said to me, what I read that day, blah, 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 blah. When it comes to Cakewalk, we touched upon the musical influences, but what are those anecdotal personal experiences that factored in the Cakewalk? Because I saw it evolve from Farewell to its end product, and I have a few ideas about some of the things you saw and went through in that creation, but could you tell me a bit more about that?
Cakewalk, I mean, if we're talking, obviously, musical influences, like, we've talked about that, and how I grew up, and listened to, like, this certain music, and childhood and stuff, but I guess we could talk about lyrics.
That's a huge one. I also, that picture on the front of the album, the day you went to whatever that attraction was, that changed, like, so much. I started seeing you sort of obsess over that aesthetic.
Yes, actually, that picture was used.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that picture too.
Yeah, man, that picture. I went to a place called Chattanooga in Tennessee, and we went up to the mountains, and we saw these little, I guess you could say it was like a town of like dwarves. It's like a, and it to me was
okay.
Just
Were you in a building? Because
yes,
the story just at that point sounds psychedelic. That sounds psychedelic. You went to like a museum or an attraction of some sort, and there you saw the dwarf people. You weren't just walking through the Tennessee mountains and you saw dwarf people.
Right. No. Right. Okay. Correct. It was a very small attraction as well. We weren't going specifically to see this place, actually. So we got in, and we literally every 5 feet, man, there was like different little dwarves and doing different little things, and I came across that picture of this. I couldn't even tell you what she is, but the picture itself just kind of stood out to me. It was very, very colorful picture and very bright, and I just started messing with it, man, on Photoshop, and messed with the hue and kind of got the whole idea. I had Cakewalk before I even took that picture, so. It just it brought me back, man. It brought me back to my childhood. Just looking at these little cartoons just brought me back, and I feel like that was, it was kind of like the idea was meant to be, because like I got influenced, as a child with this music, so I kind of wanted it to, kind of go back as well with the influences. So
I think that's a great idea for a first project.
Yeah, man. I mean. You gotta start somewhere, and I feel like that was the right thing to do. Start. Yeah, man.
And let's dive into the lyrics then, because life experiences when it comes to lyrics. You were making Cakewalk not only when you were living here, but it was sort of a very unstable time in your life. You didn't know where you were going to go to college. You didn't know who was going to end up with you, who wasn't. You eventually moved south all by yourself, and were living down there. For the first time away from home, alone?
Well, yes, definitely. First time I was independent, for sure.
By the way, this is a very happy album for the kind of stress I know you were going through at that time in your life.
Yeah, I think the thing about my music, man, is that I try to steer away from any... Not saying like my chord progressions aren't mysterious or could be sad at times, but I think that as far as the album goes, it's a very upbeat, happy album. So, but the lyrics are very, I guess, sentimental, you could say. But
do you think that's the balance? Maybe that's the balance, sort of, in Cakewalk.
Yeah, I think so. I think there was
thought about it like that.
Definitely, kind of balancing it, because not everybody, the structure these days is like, you put out for a regular album, let's just say 8 songs, right? Typically 6 out of the 8 are upbeat songs, and the last two are like either instrumentals or they're slower songs. I guess I just didn't follow that standard. I went for something a little bit more reckless when I did the goofy melodies and rag and roll part 1 and 2. I guess I wanted to do something kind of just different. But yeah, the whole album is just really is just my experience before I left, and it was kind of just reminiscing from what I had, because when I made the album, man, I got hit with a bit of, loneliness, as far as, I had never been alone like that in my life.
Was it like a great chapter in your life had closed when you finished the album?
I think so, because I came back, when I came back and I released it.
I know, that's how I could put in the words like that. I know exactly how you feel.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, man. When I released the album, I flew in here back to Chicago, and the album had just came out in like 2 days. And I feel like that was great closure, because I had come back and kind of just, hey guys, like, it's good to be back, but, I'm fine. Yeah. Like, everything's good now. But yeah, man, it's definitely, like, I guess you could say, the album's definitely not in chronological order or whatever, but it's, I guess every song talks about a different experience, specifically with my friends, mostly, and I guess that's what I wanted the album to be. It was more of an experience before I left, and what had happened with you guys and stuff. So
I'm going to plug myself real quick. I have a reference, right? Mm-hmm. I have a reference one of the songs.
Yes, sir.
Very flattered. Thank you so much for that.
For sure.
I don't expect more to come. That's too much to ask. But really cool. And also, I mean, just truth to drawing out of your life experience to create your music. Do you think that, well, it's kind of a stupid idea to say, do you think life experiences will stop influencing your music? Mm. But it's I don't know, man, when it comes to, getting signed and putting things out under time constraints and working with other people, that could take away from your self-expression through the music. And maybe they look at something like Rag and Roll, mm-hmm. and they're like, what, a whole instrumental song of sort of fun, waltzy, and throw all these instruments in there, and you have this amazing soup of music. Mm-hmm. Be like, well, what's the point? Mm-hmm. Meh, take it off. Right. We don't want it. Right. Or this isn't a good direction. Maybe got a producer.
So are you kind of talking about music labels here?
What do you think? Do you think you would stick to your guns? I'm sure everyone would like to think they'd stick to their guns.
I wouldn't want to be a product, if that makes sense. I don't want to be. I don't want to be controlled by a label, or that's not my goal. I think I really want to do something for myself as an independent artist, and I want things to be organic as far as what I have to put out there. Like that's the problem with I guess you could say bands these days, is that there's too many influences going on. It's like, who's gonna take
band story?
Right. Who's gonna take what?
Maybe the most classic is the sellout, is the music creation versus the label. It's old as fucking time. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Almost every band you've ever heard of has that story.
Exactly.
I mean, and did you ever think about that time when that time comes? And it's impossible to say how you'll balance it, but you'll have to balance it.
Exactly. Yeah, man. And I think the goal really is to just stick as a solo artist, but have a touring band, because obviously a touring band is going to help a lot. But I really do believe that just doing things solo, definitely stress-free.
Do you think you like solo because it's what you've done up to this point, or you think in the future, when it comes to, let's say, you got more income, more free time to make this music, people are asking for these tours, you can actually pitch it to someone to help you book these tours, like a booking manager or something like that. Do you think you would like working with other people better at that point, or do you just think you'd like doing solo because it's what you've done up to that point?
I would
That's a long question.
I would love to work with anybody I could, man. Honestly, I feel like that's key right now, is working with anybody who's got the same idea, I guess. And that would be great, but as far as Abisai goes, definitely keep it solo.
Okay. So you're making a distinction between the proliferation of the art and then the direction of Abisai.
Right, and like kind of go out and maybe do other projects with other people. Like, I don't think that would be a problem. I think that would be great. You know, currently doing that thing with Nori and Sam, so starting off somewhere and gaining experience, but definitely Abisai would stay a solo band, solo artist with a band, hopefully one day. And that's kind of the direction I'm hoping for. But man, honestly, things change.
I think it's really interesting that you're sort of this lower tier starting off artist, and you're looking for sort of any up you can get, not only on the internet but through traditional means, playing live, not only playing solo but also playing with other people. It sounds like you're hitting every single path you can possibly hit. That's fucking awesome, dude. I mean, and anyone that, you know, let's say that those are all the first steps on a staircase, and you're sort of seeing which one you know starts the escalator motion and takes you up to the top.
Right.
That's
and
really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm on the right track, but there are some things I'm missing as an artist that I haven't done.
What do you think that is? Because, I mean, to me, as a layman, it sounds like you're hitting the both ends of most things. What do you think you're not hitting the most ends?
I think it's just the networking.
So you could be hitting it better.
I could be hitting it better.
Oh, that will be forever an issue.
It will be an issue forever, but
right,
I feel like right now I have no networking whatsoever. Like there's been certain artists that have you know, messaged me and talked to me and you know, tried to collab and you know, like the problem is that I'm in a place where there is not enough, or I just haven't met those people yet, like and I feel like these upcoming years will obviously be a huge help. I've been working, man, like, and that's the problem, is that I'm not exposed to many people that like the same type of music, or many people that are doing what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, I mean,
so
you're making this experimental indie music in Alabama.
It's not so popular down there.
Your artists. I mean, when you talked about, you know, where your music is being listened to in the sort of traditional genres of the area, yeah, that's got to be a little difficult.
Right, exactly. So I guess it's just time, man, and it's at the right time whenever I do meet up with these people, because I mean, I'm waiting for it to happen, and they're waiting for me to come through. So
what I thought was really interesting earlier when we were talking about the experience of making music or art, and how your life conditions were influencing the creation of Cakewalk. When I look at my roster of photos I've taken, I've been taking photos for, I think, 2.5 years. I've been doing photography, and I've probably been doing music maybe a year, sort of just experimenting with that. And I've been doing this audio work for a few months, and then you know, I did your video, and then I'm about to start sort of a new chapter of journalistic video work I want to dip my toe into, because it's sort of a conjoining of all those crafts. Is this video thing? It's the picture through the video, it's the audio through the video and the editing, it's the music, which I'm creating on the keyboard, which I'll probably put in the back track of the thing. So it's everything. It's everything joined into one. But specifically, when I look at my photographs, which is my baby, like, that's my fucking art. I love the fuck out of photographs. When I look at it, I see it like a scrapbook. I can look at a photo and I know exactly where I was standing I know what I was doing that day. I know what I was feeling. I know why I was there, how I got there, and where I went after that, who I was with. I have a terrible memory, to be honest. I'm not, like, fucking, I asked Justin, like, Justin, I don't know what the fuck I did on my 13th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
He'll tell me where my party was, who got me what fucking cake I ate, all that shit. I don't remember any of that shit, dude. But when I look at my photographs, I am there again, unlike anything.
Mm-hmm.
And you know,
Emotional memory.
doing like family videos is such a dead art these days. No one takes family videos because videos are so disposable now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you know, everyone our age has those semi-digital family videos that the parents keep somewhere in the house. We're all little and the video's all shitty and faded and the lights are drastic, all that shit. You know, when I look at my log of photos, that is like my fucking family videos for my life. I can keep track of I can see it. I can see the timeline of myself and how all of these events flowed into each other. I went here and that made me go there, and I saw this there and that made me think this, and I started doing that in my life, and here it is in my photos. And it's so unbelievable. It's something that I never knew I could experience like that. It's something a lot of people will never understand without taking, you know, imagine if you took 50 photos of your life every week and you did that for 2.5 years and then you looked at the entire collection. It's like that. It is changing my entire perspective on how I live my life. I'm sort of being held to an accord and a standard in a way that is just so fucking abstractly strange through these photographs. Because I know I can look at a series of 18 photographs and know that time in my life was really fucking hard. And I was slipping up here and there and here and there, and I wrote about it here and there and here and there. Music is a bit more dispersed out, but, you know, it has a long creation time. There's a lot of expression that goes into it, and those things are probably more distilled because it is a shorter quantity of, you know, releasing that content. But, you know, when you look at Cakewalk, I have no doubt that you look at Cakewalk and you hear it, and it takes you to places no one would ever understand.
Correct.
What your new project right now, that's probably happening in your new project right now. Have you ever looked at Cakewalk and thought about it like a scrapbook? Because I think it's like such a crazy revelation. I remember one day I was looking at my photographs and I thought to myself, I'd never understood my life like this.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree, man. I look at, obviously, emotional memory. It's time and place, wherever you were at when you first, you know, came up with those 4 chords or whatever, right? And I feel like that's what happened through Cakewalk. It was just me and a piano, and it was either at my girlfriend's house or it was back at home. I made a lot of the songs here in Huntley. I made, I believe, 3 here in Huntley, and the rest I just made back at home in Auburn. So I feel like for me, what helped a lot was, you know, I would come up with a melody, record it on my phone, and then after I came up with a structure, I would record it onto FL Studio, and then from there, I would slowly start building up this, you know, this song or whatever. But it was definitely emotional as far as the time and place I was in. I was very, very lonely, man, when I was making this album. And I guess, you know, you don't want to look back and I guess I'm not trying to be, you know, like
right. This is a heavy topic.
It's a heavy
part. This is a heavy section.
Yeah, but it's a good thing, I guess. Looking back, you do get as far as the music goes, not really the emotional part of it. I do feel like with each song, it just influenced the next song. It was just ongoing, from song to song, influenced each song. And yeah, every time I listen to it, man, I do get brought back to those times, and just, you know, not saying those times were a blur or anything, but it was definitely a bit harder for me to keep up with this whole like scrapbook thing you're talking about. But I I definitely do look back, man, and this album that I'm currently working on, it is influenced by Cakewalk, just kind of steering away from certain parts of the instrumentation, I guess you could say. It's a little bit different.
It will get all the more stranger the more time passes, because I look at photos I took 2 years ago, you know, a few months into my photography, and it's like, oh man. Because I look at those photos, I didn't know my eye saw exactly that picture. I was looking through the viewfinder, I saw exactly that thing. And I look at the roster, and I know I have this scrapbook of all these things I've seen. And in a strange way, it has sort of solidified my existence. And I know that's really fucking out there, but I swear to God, it is the truth. I look at these photographs, I'm like, I have seen these things. Look at these things I've captured here. Making art the expression and getting things out from inside and manifesting them into a physical form like music or photographs is so incredibly rewarding, and an expression I'm so addicted to.
Oh yeah.
So it is God, it's so addicting.
I completely agree, man. When you make, like I said, when you make that melody or the chord progression you're working with, and you feel it, like you feel like this is what I want to do, it just makes you feel a certain way, and I don't think I would ever trade that feeling for anything else. I feel like that is what I live for, man. It's just making music.
So artist cliche. I love it.
I mean, it's true though. I really do. I live for making music that makes me feel good, and that I think will make others feel good. And yeah, man, if I don't feel that for a song, I will scrap it out. Like, I'll just do next, you know? Thank you, next, bro.
So do you think that is Abisai's message?
I think so. Yeah, I think Abisai's message is definitely personal experiences as well as the viewer experience. I try and look for things that I've lived and things that influence me to make the song, and also think from the viewer's perspective, see like, hey man, they might also like the song, you know, like this might be the type of music they're gonna listen to and connect with. I feel like personal experiences are very like shareable, if that's a word.
It's really interesting, and I might be the only person who thinks about it this way, because I'm a fellow artist and I know a bit about you. Do you think, it sounds to me like you want your music to connect people, not only, yes, bring joy and nice to listen to and things like that, but I think at the core, on sort of a deep introspective level, I think your music is trying to bring people together. Do you think, is that true? Do you think that's true?
Yes. The problem with that is that the type of music I make is for a specific, like I said, specific listener. It's not everybody's gonna like my music, and I completely understand going into this whole thing, you know, with music. But I do believe in my heart that, you know, the type of music I'm making could definitely influence the listener and make them feel a certain way. My music, I try and make it as catchy as possible.
Yeah.
And I
it's
try.
Pretty catchy. I know a few people.
Yeah, man. I try and make it a kind of, I guess, a memory lane, you know, going back in time, getting all nostalgic and reminiscent, I guess. So when people listen to my music, I try and focus on that aspect of things, rather than, because it is an experience, but as well, I am trying to make people like the type of music I'm making.
So you're bringing people together, these specific people, you're celebrating a certain time. And this is what I was getting at before. Do you think that has to do with playing in church services?
Yes.
I mean, that sounds like almost a parallel.
Yeah.
You know, it's the specific music that's done relatively only there. And it's all about bringing people together and establishing good mood.
Yeah, I think that definitely helped me as an artist. Is was playing with my dad and the church band, actually. And that's what it was all about, man, was engaging the people, you know, to the right, you know, with church. Obviously, he was relating the people to God and stuff, and bringing them together in that sense. But as far as music goes, you can really think about it in any perspective. You can think about it emotionally, spiritually. You can think about it however you want, man. Music is just so broad as far as the emotions, interpretation. Yes.
Fuck, man. Oh, all art is. Oh, it is so interpretive.
Yeah, man. So, like I said, everybody's going to interpret it differently, but I want the listener to kind of be on the same...
I see. It would be hard to listen to Cakewalk and think, wow, I mean, this person is just living in agony, or that was a very sad album. No one would... Who would say that? No one would say that.
Right. Because the thing about...
It's funky, like... Yeah, no, yeah, I get what you're saying.
And it, like I said, the lyrics do matter, but a lot of...
This is a tortured soul. He's like Edgar Allan Poe.
These days, Corey, people are, I guess, not so engaged with the lyrics, I guess you could say. It depending on the listener, people do think of the instrumentation.
Yeah, we got to talk about what I will use in this moment. I will call it postmodern music. Mm-hmm. That's debatable, of course, but in this moment, I'm gonna call it that, just so we're on the same page. And we can talk about it in similar terms. I heard someone say that music has been reduced to grunting. When you think about something like Gucci Gang, where it's the repetition of one word, that same note, over and over and over and over and over again. I could see where that person's coming from. They say it's like music has devolved into repetitious grunting of a pleasing note over and over and over and over again. You think about like beats and electronic music, the drops. You think about mumble rap. It's the lyrics are just so pushed to the side, and it's the repetition. Even hardcore, like a lot of hardcore is turned into, the chug. It's like the de-evolution of music, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because I talked to Christine about this, because she goes to the Art Institute Chicago. We had a whole conversation about postmodern music, and we were talking about how it's a good thing because it pushes the boundary of what music can be. Can music be one word repeated over and over and over and over again? Of course it can. Why can't it? And it's important to have someone out there fucking doing it. Exactly. I mean, I can fucking little pump all I fucking want. But look, man, he has an interesting formula, and it's working out for him, and he's pushing music in his own direction, I can't hate on that too much.
Right, and I think that I completely agree with you, Corey. I feel like you can either go that direction, or you can do it completely the opposite direction, which nowadays psychedelic music is completely diverse as far as you've got your time signatures, your chord progression, everything that comes together. You kind of have the listener, for example, you could take a song like Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody, right? The whole song is structured in like it's almost, I think it's like 5 different genres you could even put together for this song. And I guess that song, or like that time, might have influenced or revolutionized music as far as psychedelic music goes, which is just different in every, it's not your typical verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, end, right? You have to look at it differently with psychedelic music, I guess you can say, man. And I guess that's my formula, is just making things different. For example, Goofy Melodies Part 1 is literally all just one verse, and it fades into Rag and Roll, which is just one chorus, and the whole song is just 4 chords.
That is very, very interesting.
And that's kind of how I look at it, man. It's just that I'm not really doing the norm and following these rules, these formulas. I'm kind of, steering away from that direction.
It's very today. It's very today of you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember Death Grips. You ever heard of the band called Death Grips?
I've not.
They're an experimental sort of instrumental rap group where, Jesus, the music they make is just experimental synth, beat, and lyric delivery lyric delivery, and in like time signatures, the beat is, it goes fast here and then it slows. It's really, really fast, and then it's everywhere, and the beat doesn't even make fucking sense anymore, and then they go back to the first beat of the song, and that's how they end it. It's like, it's madness, it's wildness, and the whole point is to just push music to its boundaries, what can be considered music, and the singer, the lyrics don't always make coherent sense, sort of in a Nirvana way. Like the sentences make sense, but if you put the sentences together, like where's the narrative gone here? And if you don't look the words up, you probably can't even tell what he's saying.
Right. Correct.
It's super interesting. And I think when it comes to postmodern music, simplifying it down, not only in a deconstructive way, but also just like you're doing, just pushing the elements forward, so it's more just maybe the elements of music. Super interesting. And that makes me wonder, I mean, how far are artists going to take this? Because, I mean, you listen to something like the Death Grips, and you're just not even sure it can go much farther. People are going to start just listening to a buzzing white noise. Oh, yeah. So good.
Well, Corey, that's the thing about this generation, is that, I mean, you have to look at it from the 20s or whatever till now. It's just constantly, every decade.
And art has been given to everyone. Everyone has
accessible.
Dude, I don't know what the fuck common cameras are on their Pixels right now, but it's good. Okay, everyone has a good camera on them all the time.
Right. If not their phones, man. I mean, I'm telling you, I took Cakewalk. The album cover was taken with an iPhone. Anyone can fucking download Fruity Loops and start making experimental music with quotation marks. That's what I fucking did. I started taking photographs with my cell phone too. So, shit, man. No boundaries, man.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the boundaries. I think that's why postmodern music is so big, and postmodern art. Classic example, you'll find it in any art textbook, is when the one guy submitted a toilet to an art show, and there was this big hubbub about, is this art or not? Should this be allowed to enter the show? It was like a toilet you found in an alleyway or something like that. And obviously you look at it and you're like, that's a fucking toilet. It's half broken. It shouldn't be in an art show. There's nothing sophisticated about it. And then, you've fallen into the rabbit hole of art critique. What is valuable? What does it mean?
What's logical?
In
what's
contrast
not logical.
to everything in that hallway, it's drawing the most eyes.
Exactly.
Fuck, man. Art.
Like I said, it was one thing in 2010. It was one thing now. Because I remember, man. I remember when people were critical about the content you put out there. And very, very critical. And nowadays,
what content was that?
I'm just saying in general. As far as
I want to know, who are these people?
A lot of actually in 2010, when people started, I think that was probably the year where, like you said, postmodern music started, because a lot of people were afraid to put out this content. They would be afraid of what people would say. But nowadays, people are so comfortable.
Afraid.
People are so comfortable, like, talking about anything, and social media is the reason why everybody's comfortable.
Everything is connected.
Exactly.
Everyone has been exposed to everything.
Everything is pretty much socially acceptable, and back then it wasn't, unfortunately. So I feel like that's why. And technology, man, itself is just evolving on the daily.
That is very interesting. When it comes to postmodernness of society, it has a lot to do with standards. Standards for music, way down. Not say that doesn't mean music is shit. Like some fucking YouTube comment. Oh, music was better in the 60s. This was real music, man. This is when people fucking lived, man. People gave a shit about their music and the lyrics. Everyone fucking knows the mantra. It has a lot to do with, I think, it has a lot to do with tradition and standards. That's the word I'm looking for. Standards. Even when it comes to fashion, look at the fashion of people in the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and then like the early 2000s. Man, late 2000s, fashion goes out the fucking window. People just wear whatever
the
suits
fuck
them today.
Kanye
No one
West,
gives a
bro,
shit. No one gives a shit.
Exactly.
Fucking. Oh man, jeez, just it's like that Facebook page, People of Walmart. The whole world has postmodern fashioned the people of Walmart. It's kind of funny that is even a trend that has been made a Facebook page. I mean, no longer does everyone wear a hat. No longer does everyone wear closed shoes. Fucking not even everyone wears 2 layers in the winter. You'll see people fucking out there wearing who knows what, man. You'll never know what you find. You go on the street.
Right, and you have to ask yourself why and like who's to blame for it.
I personally think it is because everyone has been exposed to everything. And I think maybe in those times when you weren't exposed to a whole land of people who never wore felt overcoat jackets down to their knees and fucking dress shoes and bowler hats, that's just what you did. And now with things like the internet, you see across the entire world what everyone is doing all the time. You have the standards from everywhere interacting and melting on the standards of everywhere. Music, art, culture, man, stories. It's everything. The standards have been lowered because of that.
Correct.
I definitely think so.
I like just how you put that, man. It definitely makes sense. And I that's exactly why I feel it's the music industry now is just a little bit harder. It's just because, like you said, there are no standards, but as well, can that be a good thing? And it could be a good thing with the right listener, right? But if you put out something that's complete shit, and it does get popular or something, right? Then obviously great. You have your listener, you have your follower here. But if you put out some great content and there's still no standard, is that going to go viral? Is that going to stay low key? Like,
a lot of times things go viral in music just because they're brushing off of musical standard. I mean, a lot of times these days it feels like.
Exactly.
I'm sure people said that about music in the 60s too, when they're like, wow, this music is so experimental and out there and not traditional. Definitely fucking said it in the 50s when it comes to like Elvis. People lost their fucking minds. It was like, this, how can this music is, you shouldn't even be able to listen to this music. It's so fucking out there. Like, everyone twiddles their fingers at you, give you bad fucking juju.
Yeah.
That is just goofy. Yeah, that's just goofy.
I guess
people like honestly really listen to the Death Grips though. Like they have some strange diehard fans.
Interesting stuff.
That's just one of the sort of postmodern stuff. I think mumble rap is really, really interesting because I think it is sort of the biggest postmodern push. Obviously, you have things like lo-fi indie music and whatnot. That's also really big, but I don't think it's as big as mumble rap. Definitely, to be honest. And
it's crazy how much can happen in a year, man, because
this mumble rap scene too changes a lot from year to year. You look at it last year, the year before, and the year before that, it's way fucking different.
Yeah.
I don't listen to that music, but I do follow it because I think it's pretty interesting. I don't follow it closely. I mean, I peep through the keyhole here and there, and I just sort of look around real quick and then move on. Make sure no one saw me, but I do look at that. I look at that stuff. I think it's so interesting, and I love the conversations about the deconstructing of music and the questions like, what actually is music?
Right.
Jeez, man, you ever been to the Art Institute in Chicago? You go in there and you'll see a canvas where it's just 3 colors. It'd be like a green block, then a white skinny block, and then the bottom 4th is maybe red. I think that's exactly something I saw there. And I have a picture on my Instagram of someone looking at it. I think it's so interesting.
Well, see, that's the thing I like about your art, man. That it's kind of third person. It's very personal, but third person personal, and I haven't seen that done before. That's why I believe your artwork is so unique. Is that I've never seen you take pictures the way I look at your pictures is like, you know, you're taking a picture of someone and what is that person doing? Why is that interesting? Like, and it kind of just gets the mind going, you know, like interpreting it differently, like you said earlier.
Yeah. Street photography. I mean, it's all about connecting the lives of somewhere, exploring a space. And one of the most key aspects, in my opinion, of exploring a space is not capturing everything that's in that space, but everything that's leaving that space. Those people are moving in and out. And that's huge.
Right.
That's when it comes to somewhere, why people go there and leave there. Geez, man, that's a lot of story right there. So when I do street photography, I look for people who look like they have a mission, something they're doing there, because it's easy to look at that photo and then have a lot of questions right off the bat about that person's purpose, what they're doing there.
Correct.
Why they're walking that way, who they're with,
and
how they carry themselves. It's just, I like the questions being there, at least with my street photography. Street photography is all about questions. It wouldn't be...
And
I'd be doing architecture photos if I didn't want to ask questions for the most part.
Right. And like the thing about your project, man, and this whole thing you're doing with your photos and stuff, and this project you have going on, the Identity project.
IDEN, yeah.
So are you making this into like an application or something? Because to me, like, it sounds like you can definitely do something with this whole idea of like bringing people together with the same idea. And I think that's super cool, dude.
I want to bring, with IDEN, I want to bring together people who are sort of looking for something, searching for something, who are deeply rooted in something, because I find it easier for myself to connect with people who are, because I myself am very passionate. I want to find passionate people. I want to find people who are doing something, who are searching for something, seekers in a way. And a lot of time it's called IDEN because a lot of time that passion is really core to their identity. And I love discussions about those passions that are core to people's identities that I don't understand. Because when I begin to understand them, it helps me become a better person. It helps me find more respect for that person and to not speak so quickly about those things I don't understand that mean a lot to these people. And I think it's just so integral to, I don't know, fucking America, the melting pot nation where everyone's got to get along no matter their differences. I just love exploring people and what makes them who they are, and it helps me enrich myself, and which is one of the reasons I went to that airplane restoration place and I hung out with those guys for a day. It's because, you know, most people who find they like mechanics find out at a very young age. You know, they had cars in their room when they were little. They had like fucking match cars, or their dad worked on a farm. They helped him do that work, and it's just something they've grown up with, or, you know, their dad valued some car, something. It's usually a very young event, or like one of the, all those things those guys told me. And then another one told me that when he was young, all he could remember was drawing planes. He would draw planes all the time with crayon. It was like just something he drew all the time. When I was little, I always fucking drew dinosaurs, but I guess I'm not meant to be a paleontologist. But, you know, for a lot of people who like machines and are very obsessed with the things of machines, the thing, it starts really early. And that's something I don't understand because it never happened to me, but I can see it in my brother who's a mechanic, and I can see it in everyone who loves machines and motorcycles and cars around me. So when I found out about this group of guys who are obsessed with airplanes, and let me tell you, they're obsessed with airplanes. They know fucking everything. 90% of the conversations I heard the entire day were about airplanes in history and important people who influenced these planes through history. It's like it was their lives. I mean, and
that's very interesting you say that.
Yeah, and I wanted to go there and research that because I don't understand it. And unfortunately for me, my passion in life hit me really late. Like 19. I don't know what the fuck I loved doing until I was like 19. It happened so late. These guys, it just always was. And I think that was so interesting, and I want to get at that.
Right.
Which is why I went there and filmed with them rather than going to film with someone else first. I just thought this was a more interesting story, and I think I'll have something more interesting to say about it than if I went and did something I'd understand, like the metal scene, which I know some people I could, follow them through their day and, show them on stage and talk about my experience of the show and blah, 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 blah. But that's just stuff I know. There's not as many mysteries there. That's why I do IDEN. Very long answer.
I love it, man. I think you should definitely have a podcast where you talk about just IDEN, because that's honestly, to me, it's super interesting.
I got IDEN for it, so I guess I talk about it there. But something I also want to touch upon too is I would do IDEN 2 times a week, 3 times a week if I could. When I started, I was like, hey, I'm trying to do this video, this audio project, get all these people together. And I had a lot of people on right at first. Dude, Huntley is not the most interesting of towns in the world. It's hard to find interesting people, interesting enough to have, I want to have conversation just like off the bat about that thing I don't understand, whatever their passion is. And it's hard to find, I think personally it's hard to find people who match my level of passion for
college, bro,
creation and whatnot. Now, I've been finding people at my college, which like the airplane dudes and whatnot.
I feel like NIU is really gonna help you expose yourself, man.
All of my people. I think all the people I've ever had on IDEN have gone to MCC.
Oh, really?
Except maybe Christine, but she goes to the Art Institute. She's a college student. I think all of them.
Interesting.
All of that young passion, it's good for this kind of discussion.
I love it, man.
And I had some people scripted up to do this more, and maybe I'll start hitting them up after this episode. But I had a long lull of recording just because I sort of ran out of a lot of people, and I've been doing other projects, but maybe I'll get back into this.
Definitely,
we shall see.
Man.
And I thought it was interesting what you said about you felt like this was a good platform that could build into something. It's just hard to build it because there aren't a lot of people around here, and every person I've ever had do this has obviously never done this before. I mean, we live in Huntley, in Crystal Lake. No one's doing podcasts out here. You kidding me? I'm the only person I even know of who's attempted something like this.
I agree,
which
man.
I wanted to be. I wanted to be.
You have to be
first,
unique. You have to be the first. Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, you're damn right. You got to be the first. And if you fucking see something,
take the chance.
Most of the time, what you're looking for is on the far side of hard work. And I just knew if I threw myself in the water. Luckily, Dylan was there my first recording. And he threw himself in the water too, which doesn't shock me. He's a pretty rad guy, and it's been turning out. Fucking, I never knew it would have turned out unless I tried. And when I thought about maybe becoming a flight attendant after college, which doesn't seem like the plan anymore. It seems like I'm gonna do another 2 years and keep going and maybe go for journalism, which this helps with. Obviously, a rapport between two people, ask questions, explore motives, blah, 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 journalism shit. And, when I was going to be a flight attendant, I originally thought, well, I'll be traveling around the world. I could find the most interesting of people and then have them on this platform, and I could build that, and I could get that funded by people who wanted to continue to see me meet interesting people, and I'll give them a platform to share their stories. And that could be for people that I love, and it could be for people I don't like at all. I'm not necessarily opposed to having them on IDEN. If I think they're passionate about something, I want to explore that identity. I want to explore that passion they have within themselves and what makes them them. I just think that's so interesting. Yeah, and I want to see more of it. I want to see more people act on their passions. I want to see more people live the expressions within themselves. Because so many people I fucking know have no idea what to do with themselves. They have no idea. They probably never even listened to their soul, like a single fucking day in their lives. So, you know, that's very generalistic of me, but sometimes I just wonder. And I know on IDEN, you know, I can sort of push them there.
That's very smart, Corey. I think that's something great you're doing, and I believe that if you expose yourself to the right people, that you can definitely have something going. And I know we live in Huntley or whatever, but bro, honestly, like college towns, whatever it is, man, honestly great things, bro. I really like this whole idea.
I'm thinking at NIU I'll have better luck.
Definitely.
And I'm gonna have a wider range of people to draw interesting viewpoints and characters from to have on. And maybe I'll even fucking upgrade the audio or the video and start adding video to it. But I just, with one camera, like, how, you know, caption two people. I can't do that in this room. And it would be kind of strange if I did a video recording in my dorm.
You can always go out, you know, and just, hey, with a little mic, your camera, go out and talk to random people.
I've thought about it. I'm not sure. I mean, I do street photography, you know, so it wouldn't be too alien to sort of make people uncomfortable in public with my camera. I've done that plenty of times. But I don't know. I don't know if that rogue style is necessarily something I want to do yet. And then I don't know if I want to be known at my college campus as the guy, the camera, who fucking sticks it in your face.
It's great. It's great, man.
And, you know, if we did like a walking interview with it, that's just like too jumbly. I want to create a cleaner product than that.
Yeah, set up for it, and, prep.
Yeah, and you'd have like different audios, like cars and fucking people. And
yeah.
This is very controlled.
Very personal.
And you know what else, too, is when it comes to the purpose of IDEN, this setup here allows my guest and me to open up way more than we would if I was doing this in a college conference room. Like, let's say I went to one of the MCC conference rooms and I set this up on stage, 2 chairs and the camera, and we talk side by side. Here, I'm looking you right in the eyes. There's no one else around. No one can hear us. We're under fucking ground. Like, it's just so much easier to explore ideas and to speak. You know what else is the environment a lot of times can influence like parameters of speech. And if I did this in a college building, I don't know what kind of ramifications that could have for me. But if I just do it in my own house, in my room, and maybe my dorm room in the future, I don't know, I feel like that builds a greater connection between me and that person because I've actually stepped into where I live. I control I control the environment. I don't know, man. Yeah, I'll probably keep it going like that.
Looking forward to it, Corey, and you better have me in one of those guys. Cause,
yeah, anytime you want to be on, man. Anytime.
Put me in there.
My door is always open to you.
High hopes for you, bro.
Yeah,
definitely.
We gonna see. That's right.
Love it, man.
You know, maybe at NIU, maybe you get those connections. I mean, you're definitely finding connections for your expressions. Obviously, college towns are hotbeds of creation. I mean, they really are. You got college towns, cities. Everywhere else, I don't know if you would call a hotbed of creation. So, you know, maybe if I move there, like you have moved to your town, maybe I'll meet more people, get more connections. It's gonna be hard though, moving there, not knowing anyone. I mean, it obviously probably took you a while to start building, you know, people to know you for what you do. I'm just gonna have to introduce myself as an artist to a lot of people and tell them about my stuff, or they just won't fucking know about it. And once I start getting people in on campus, like you're sort of getting people in on your music, then, you know, they know people and they know people and they know people, and it'll just grow from there. But it's definitely, you know, it's gonna be slow to start. I don't know how many episodes I can make until then.
Right.
It's hard to make episodes out here.
It's interesting, man.
A lot of people know about me out here.
Yeah, but dude, you're a very like extroverted guy, so I do believe that you'll get your connections.
It's a balance. In my private time, I'm like very introverted, but when I need to act, very extroverted. I'll be the first to step out jumping in the water a lot of the time. But that's when I need to do something a lot of the time, like just spare time.
You'll be
very
all right.
private.
You will.
But, you know, if I really want to make it happen, I'll make it happen.
Yeah, man.
We
For
shall
sure.
see. Before we wrap this up, tell me about any future endeavors you have going for Abisai or any other side labels. Like, do you have any live performances or this new album? So tell me something about what's up next for you.
So I've released 2 singles, Loops and Some Lovers Gone. And as far as that goes, I have a couple more on the line. I think I'm just trying to engage my current viewers a little bit more, just kind of release something kind of every month. But as far as that goes, I think I have an idea of what I want to do with this next album. And actually, a lot of these songs I'm releasing are going to be on the album, so they're kind of like they're kind of just like a pre,
Yeah.
I guess you could, they're just singles from that album, I guess you could say. But we're looking at like a 10 to 12 album, LP.
You know, that's a lot of content. Wow. What, you know, at least from my time on exploring music and being in the internet, which take my opinion for what you will, I thought that the video you made with just the dancing animation was really cool. I think it was super accessible, straight to the point, but also very fine. I think that was a great idea.
The cakewalk.
I think if you did that again for another song, I think that's a very shareable,
very simple
structure format for a music
I
videos, but like, you know, a video with music.
Right.
Because I mean, you look at these channels now that just promote music, and they'll have their label and maybe like audio frequency bars. Like a lot of times they'll be in relation to bass or just noise level, things like that. And those are huge, just huge, those channels. And I thought, you know, just that animation was sort of reminiscent of that, and probably easily shareable to a huge amount of people who already consume that kind of content.
I guess that was the...
I thought it was really interesting.
I guess those were the intentions.
Yeah.
I was trying to be very simplistic as far as that video went. I mean, I made that video in a couple hours. Literally took a GIF off of an image,
I'm sure. Yeah.
and I animated it on Premiere. So it was just looping the whole time. Then I multiplied them, and the background video was just an airplane flight looking out the window.
Yeah.
So it was just very simple and
Cheapest flights.
yeah, exactly.
Cheapest flights. That's cool.
So I guess in the future I'm going to be just kind of messing with the same structure, because I do tend to use a lot of effects that kind of like overlay effects that kind of make the picture itself look like it's going in slow motion. So the next couple of videos are going to be influenced by that as well.
Are you thinking about ever doing, because I know you've been experimenting with session videos, and I'll define that sort of as, you know, you're having a jam session, and that's the video, essentially. It's like raw, it's live, blah, 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 you know, to an extent. Do you think you'll ever do sort of a scripted, productive thing like Farewell ever again, or
like the video itself?
Project? Yeah. Do you have any ideas for something like that?
I do want to do.
You know, I love productions.
Oh yeah,
I would love to hear about.
You're the
that.
man, and you're my go-to.
If you got anything, oh, thank you, I'm so flattered.
So I feel like once I do release this next album, because this next when I do release it, I'm gonna have a pre-order. It's gonna be more professional, I guess, and more regulated, I guess you could say. But it's gonna be before I release the album, I'm gonna have a video out set for it, and it's gonna be like the main single. And I want to record a video for that. And I want it to be more kind of like Farewell, like we did. I want it to be more like that, and, you know, use props and different camera angles, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, dude, if, you know, that ever goes down, you're the man, and hit you up.
I wish I could.
You'll take a cheap flight to go.
There is so much art I would love to create with you. And there's so much art that I would love to help Cameron create, or he or she or whoever create, but it's just like the distance, the balancing of lives, It's hard. It's hard to get stuff together.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was easier back in the day when everyone.
But
was in the
you
same
have to
spot.
remember that nowadays, bro, everything is shareable online.
That's true.
I can be in Atlanta. You can be over here. We
Yeah.
could exchange different.
Yeah, I want to be there, but you know, I'm really looking forward to what you cook up. I won't ask you what it is because I think it would be more special if you don't talk about it.
We won't leak
But-
anything yet.
No,
Just
no,
quite
not
yet.
Not yet. But I think that sounds really, really cool. I'm glad you're doing it. I can't wait to see.
Yeah,
you
dude.
know, I'd love a few sneak peeks here and there. That'd be cool. I won't tell anyone.
You get a couple of sneak peeks.
Yeah, I'd love a few sneak peeks.
Just gotta say that there is something coming out soon, so
Oh, okay, okay.
I will be posting a couple of sneak peeks, I guess you
Okay.
could say.
All right. That sounds good. I think that's about just everything I wanted to touch on. I think.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for having me.
That was really
and
wholesome and awesome. Thanks.
Hopefully
Thank you
we'll
so
do
much
another-
for being on. I've been looking forward to this ever
Yeah.
since I started IDEN, which was
Agreed.
like
Agreed.
half a year ago. Thank you so much for coming, Sam. It was great.
Sounds good, man. Thank you for having me.
Fucking love you, mate.
Love you.